All right, welcome to EmpowerMEN, the podcast where we talk to real guys about real life. How you going, Raf?
Good, mate, good. We've got a very special guest on tonight. We say that about every guest, but this guy certainly takes the cake. He ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't he? He ticks a lot of boxes, this young man.
Yes, he's from The Simpsons. It's Dr. Ric. Dr. Ric, you know Dr. Ric from The Simpsons?
You know, I don't actually. Probably my only namesake I know is Ric Wong from We Could Be Heroes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Ric. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. And it's my privilege to be on this podcast. All I can say is you two are, very enthusiastic, but a lousy judge of character. But I'm still happy to be here.
You could have put a suit on or something, but you got your scrubs on, I see.
Yeah, well, I've only just got home because my receptionist was meant to get me out early. But as you know, Cole, she's just a girl who can't say no.
Just for everyone, a bit of information, that's Nicole, my wife.
Yes. And she's a real sweetheart. So, no, she got me out on time, but I had an impromptu little bit of work to do when I got home. But I'm here and, I'm good to go and really happy to be here.
Awesome. So, we want to chat about a whole range of things tonight, like health-wise, as a doctor. But also, you're a legendary blues guitarist. And
good. I'm glad you're reading my blurb that I wrote very carefully for you.
I've seen you play guitar, and you don't play guitar with your hands. You play with your mouth. I don't know if you've ever watched yourself backwards, but you're...
you know what? It's absolutely shocking. Part of my message tonight has to be authentic. But when I look at that, I just think, authentic's overrated. Be cool. But I can't. So, when I play, I'm in another zone. I guess it's like, when you're lifting those heavy things around your gym that
that mindset, yep, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. You certainly go inside yourself. But, it's good fun. It's been a good life so far.
All right. Well, let's start off and tell us a little bit about your family, your life, your study. How you ended up as a doctor. Give us a brief history.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm what they call an ABC, Australian-born Chinese, or as the Chinese call us, bananas, yellow on the outside, white on the inside. So, which I think is a bit of a backhanded compliment, but anyway, whatever. So, when I was growing up in the sort of 60s and 70s, the people would say, go back to where you came from. And I'd say, okay, well, that's Cotham Road Q. That's where I came from. So I'll go there for sure. Thank you very much. Interesting growing up in Australia back in the 60s and 70s. And I just remember, obviously, we weren't as mature as perhaps we are now as a society, and so you come across a lot of racial slurs and etc. And I guess for me it just made me think, well, I just have to work even harder if I want to sort of get somewhere or maybe find acceptance or so forth. So I think that informed my work ethic from an early age to sort of go harder and just to show, hey, I deserve to be here. I belong.
Yeah.
Which I don't want people to feel sad. That was just the reality of the situation. Yeah. It's awful to sometimes come home from school and your mum says, how was it? And you say, oh, yeah, it was okay, but quietly in your heart think, I wish I was just the same as everyone. I just wish I wasn't different. And it took me a while to embrace the fact that, you know what, you're the very best version of you. So, I think that was a big lesson to learn earlier on. Yeah. And, I think, working hard was just something that I think came just naturally to me. I always found it sort of rewarding. So, I don't think there was too much sort of pushing that was required. I mean, when I was a kid in an Asian family, you had 3 career pathways. You could be a doctor, a dentist, or an accountant. And so, I think I always had a sort of natural sort of affinity for science. I was a bit of a nerd, and some would say I still am. So it just came naturally. So I was either going to be a science teacher or medicine or dentistry. Those sorts of things always interested me and still do.
Blues guitarist wasn't the 4th thing?
No. Well, funny you should say that. So I was in, I think, about year 9 at school, and a mate of mine had just started to play the guitar, and I saw that he was having a bit too much fun. I played the piano. So again, Chinese kids play the violin or the piano. You just do. Okay. And so I did that for 5 years, and it gave me a great appreciation of music, and also just to hear the relationship between notes and melody and harmony and that sort of stuff. So it wasn't such a big leap from the piano to the guitar. And we always had music playing in our house. From my earliest recollection, it was my mum had this little record player, and she had a whole lot of 78s because she grew up in China, but also in India and in Indonesia, because her father was a Chinese ambassador to those countries. So she had a whole lot of 78s, and we used to listen to them as kids. And then my dad was into the crooners, the Rat Pack, Sinatra and Sammy Davis and Tony Bennett. So I always had music. It was always a part of my life for as long as I can remember. So even before I started playing guitar, I had a real love and appreciation of music, which I'm forever indebted to my parents for, having that as our growing up experience. Yeah.
So you're married, kids? Tell us about your fam.
So I'm married to Sue, the long-suffering Sue, as they call her, and she's and she. I met Sue in medical school. Her surname is Walker, and my surname is Wong, and so and I've often said we need to find a more romantic way of how we met story. But how we met was we were assigned to the same cadaver in dissection class in med school. And which is just charming, isn't it? But I remember when we first got in there and we pulled the sheet back, and I just thought, crumbs, that's gross. Why don't we go down to Lygon Street and have a cup of coffee instead? And I remember Sue thinking, that's naughty, I don't think she'd ever run away or cut class or done anything remotely naughty before in her life. So, that was the beginning of a lifelong love affair. Well, certainly from my end anyway. She sort of waxing the wanes. But, so that was back in, 1983, which is a long time ago. So married to Sue. She's a obstetrician at the Mercy Hospital. She's we call her the Prof here at home because she's a professor of, I don't know, some nerdy stuff. No, it's perinatal medicine. So she's the head of perinatal medicine at the Mercy. So if there's pregnancies which have got complications, malformations or genetic abnormalities, she's the doctor who looks after them, and they do amazing things. So when I go to hospital functions and she's there, it's like you're walking around with the Pope. Everyone comes up and kowtows to her, and I'm a handbag, which is fine. I don't have any issues with that. I don't resent that even a bit. So she's great. She's wonderful. Just ask her. And we've got 3 kids. Emily, who's 23, and who might be tuning in because Sue just told it just before, Dad's going on a podcast all about empowering men. And Emily just went, anyway. She sort of, she laughed. Anyway, she's good. She's just about to graduate from university as a secondary teacher of English, psychology and literature, legal studies. So she was looking for a job. Lucy, my second daughter, is 22, and she's studying at Whopper in Perth, which is the West Australian Academy of Performing Arts, the university that gave us Hugh Jackman, Heath Ledger, Tim Minchin, and Lucy Wong.
Very, very hard to get into.
It's really, really, really tough. Yeah, so she auditioned twice, and she kept saying, "I'm so good. How could they not have me?" So she's like her mother. Really talks herself up. But and then our son Paddy, who I think will be, if I had my way, betrothed to your daughter Cole. Or your daughter, Raf, if you've got one. No, he's a good boy. He did VC last year, and his gap year this year was supposed to be spent in Minnesota at Camp America. He was going to be a camp counselor over there. But, of course, it all went a bit pear-shaped. So, and Paddy's 19, and he's a good boy. So, I love being a dad. And I love the relationship we have with our kids, and it's just been the most fun you can have.
That's awesome. So good.
So you've had obviously blues guitar, playing the blues. Playing guitar in the blues band has been such a big part of your life, quite an enormous part of your life. How did you fit all that in, and where did that all start for you? I know you talked about piano, but when did you first pick up a guitar and then think, this is really what I want to do as a hobby?
Yeah. Well, so I was about year 9 at school, and again, a friend of mine started playing, and I always thought, well, if he can do it, it can't be that hard. So I started, and it was great because we kind of egg each other on. Every time I turn up, it's, look what I've worked out. And it might be, a classic old Beatles song, or some other sort of, guitar-orientated music. And so I think we were kind of good for each other in terms of just, encouraging each other to do it. And then when we played our first gig, well, that was just it. That's like, it's like, this euphoria of, playing music and people sort of getting into it. And I thought, this is all right. I reckon I can handle this. And I do remember after I'd been playing a couple of years, I went to my folks and said, I think I've worked out what I want to do with my life. And of course, that went down like a fart in a phone box. So I said to, I think my dad sort of went a bit pale and sweaty, and Mum said, why don't you play guitar at night, but get a day job, just to, and you know what, to this day, I think that's probably some of the best advice I could have got, because, what they say, the difference between a professional musician and a large pizza is only one can feed a family of 4. So, certainly, and look, with limited talent of mine, there's not a chance I could have, I could have made it. It's a tough world, and obviously this year it's never been tougher. It's been sort of interesting to see all the guitarists that I sort of I love to watch having to pivot to an online environment to just try and eke out some sort of living. It's interesting, having been involved in the guitar YouTube channel for a few years now, to watch these pros who are used to playing stadiums have to come down to sitting in front of a computer like this and doing stuff. So, look, I'm very grateful for that advice. But music is something that really has given me just such immense pleasure and quality in my life that I'm so grateful to be involved in it. It's really got me through this year as well. Just not being able to see people in the flesh and play with people. It's been great that we've kind of been able to work out ways of still sort of playing interactively and just talking and all that sort of stuff. So it's been great, but I think it completes me. It's sometimes I feel like medicine's what I do for a job, but what I'm really passionate about is music and family and relationship and all those sorts of things. That's what feeds here. That's what's important.
Yep.
Before we go to the next question, can I just quickly ask something, Cole?
Yep.
In relation to what you just said, Rick, how do you keep the balance? Because there must be times when medicine, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there must have been times when medicine got in the way of your hobby, got in the way of your first love kind of thing in terms of playing bass. And then there would have been times when you just had to knuckle down and do work and put the guitar down.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
Poorly at times. I have a very clear recollection. My father played pennant tennis every Saturday for years and years and years. And on a Saturday, I used to put my guitar in the boot of his car when he went off to tennis, because I knew that if he wasn't out of the house, I'd play it all day and I'd get no work done. So it was a rare sort of display of self-discipline on my part.
That is so disciplined.
It's crazy. And, when I think about that, I thought, why would you do that? But it worked out well, because I will say, if I pick up a guitar, I can disappear into another world, and 2 or 3 hours can go past. It's just this weird. I'm sure, or I hope other people who play other instruments have that same experience, where you can just sort of disappear into a different sort of headspace. But yeah, it was tricky, and I remember a few times I'd have a gig, and then I knew I had an early shift at the hospital the next day, and I'd be getting home at like 3 a.m. And I'm thinking, wow, I hope no one's too sick tomorrow, because I'm going to be pretty crap. But look, as it went on, the balance was a challenge at times. But I think it was just a matter of unfortunately being a little bit sensible and knowing that it's important to have your head in the right space, whatever you're doing. And certainly in medicine, it's you don't want to be having a bad day when someone comes in and you're a bit subpar and you miss something. So that's the plan.
I can attest to that, Rafi, that Rick does get sort of lost in the moment every now and again. He delivered a guitar to Caleb, a little while ago. He came over and, they were setting it up. I come and did a 2-hour workout, and they're still up there playing once I get back, and they're just in that moment and just loving it, and which is awesome to see, So I think that's so good to have that passion and to be able to enjoy it when you can. So
no, definitely. I mean, I was just watching him play. I was trying to steal a few of his licks, but he's too good for me. So I just left a broken, dejected soul. But look, it is great, and I think I hope that people have these passions in their life that really just are so rewarding for them. That I just find it very, very sustaining.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, let's change tack a little bit and talk about sort of health and your the other part of your life.
Yeah,
we've got Rhoda who's going to come on. I know Rhoda personally. I train her in the pit. She's got 3 boys. And hey, Rhoda, how you going?
Hey, how are you?
And we were just chatting about this today, and Rhoda's like, my boys, I don't know, they think they're immortal,
Invincible.
Invincible. So Rhoda, just have a chat to Rick and sort of ask us, or ask Rick sort of what we were chatting about today.
Yeah, well, basically we were talking about how often, if you contrast, so I've got 3 boys, 24, 22 and 18, and they've all been involved in sports. So obviously there's moments in their lives where chaos is hit, and we definitely have to rush off to the doctor or the hospital for an emergency. But generally speaking, if it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. And the medical world is not coming to their radar at all, unlike me, who runs off to the doctor for every little thing. So I guess we were talking about how it's very different between, I guess maybe not always, but I found raising 3 boys and a husband that how do you ever get them to go?
You were raising a husband?
Yes, I'm raising a husband as well. No, not really.
Yeah.
But he falls into the category of not liking to go to the doctor very often. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But there's things that crop up, and suddenly Daniel's broken out in a massive rash, or there's an issue that maybe you could have staved off had they had a few checkups or something. So yeah, we were talking about how do you encourage young males to follow up on that when they really do. And I guess we train them because as they're growing up, we don't rush them up to the doctor all the time. So, but keeping on top of their medical health.
Yeah, look, I think that's a very, very common issue. Probably men between about the age of 15 and 50 are the great missing group in general practice. I would say it's extremely uncommon for them to come in, and I don't know whether it's whether they think it's a sign of fallibility or weakness that you were going to get something checked. And look, I've been guilty of myself. If my kids fall over and there's blood, I say, is it red or blue? And they say, oh, it's blue. And I say, yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine. We've got a saying, all bleeding stops eventually. But, look, sorry. I'm here all night.
You kind of get used to the cuts and bruises and bumps, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, there's probably not that many things. Obviously, with women, we have to start the cervical surveillance a bit earlier. And the boys, now they're just, as long as they front up for their Gardasil shots, that's sort of not really on their radar. I mean, I would say that, it is a challenge. And look, most men, like I had to go and, sorry, this isn't too distasteful, I had to go and get a prostate exam the other day because I've got a very, very strong family history of prostate disease. And I must have done, over the years, thousands and thousands of prostate exams, okay? And I always remember saying to the men, okay, just relax, a bit uncomfortable. And you know what? I reckon they should turn around and punch me in the head because it's impossible to relax. Hi, I'm about to do something to you. Just relax. Are you serious? I think the imprint of the urologist Julius Marlowe is still on my butt cheek from saying, Dr. Wong, I'm going to need my index finger for the next patient. It was unbelievable. It was just like, yeah, and I was too late. I saw the light. I was going towards the light. No, it wasn't that bad. But men, yeah, there's this other saying that for men, it's less complicated to die than to go to the doctor. It's just a tricky thing. We need to acknowledge we are entirely fallible. We die younger than women. There's another joke. Why do men die before their wives? Because they want to. But no, I think trying to build up that more positive culture for men to seek medical assistance, both physical and psychological, especially, is an ongoing challenge. I would certainly say I'm quite happy with that mental health is much more part of the daily conversation with young people now. Obviously, are you okay? And just, I guess, with social media is, it's often a bit of a cesspit on the internet. But if there's messages that get through about, look after yourself physically, look after yourself mentally. If kids are getting that, especially young men are getting that, young men are horribly overrepresented in suicides and drug abuse and alcohol and all that sort of stuff, violence. So, I think things are might be slightly better now because that conversation is out there, and I'm hoping it's a bit less sort of stigmatised. I look after quite a few young men with mental health issues, and I'm kind of glad. The hardest step for them is the first step, and they're in there, and we talk it and work it. And as I always say to them, look, I find mental health one of the more rewarding areas to work in medicine because people do get better if they've got the right things going on in their lives and good supports. They get better. So I think just talking to your boys is the key, and finding out how they really are. And when we were kids, remember they say sticks and stones break your bones, names will never harm you. I think, with all respect to whoever came up with that, I don't think that's right. I've seen physical injuries that just heal. A broken bone, stick it in a cast for 6 weeks, good as gold. Go out there and throw yourself about. Psychological injuries, I think, are ones that are much more sort of challenging to recognise, to treat, and to move on from. So, yeah, just I think talking to them is and look, you know, again, boys communicate in a series of grunts, don't they? Really,
I'm always at the gym with Colin. Colin, I can't get any words out from them today.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to make it worth their while. You know, you want to eat, you got to talk to me. You know, it's funny when we go down to we've got this little place down at the beach, and when Sue and I will go up to our son Paddy and say, "Oh, let's go for a walk on the beach," Paddy will look skyward and or he'll ring his sister and say, "Oh no, Mum and Dad want me to talk about my feelings." Which we absolutely do, but yeah, I think that's a really good thing. I think the best thing you can do for your men, for your boys, is talk to them. You know, sure, they might find it a bit uncomfortable, but you know, the more you do it, the better it is. And you know, just sometimes being honest with yourself and you know, talking about those things that are a bit uncomfortable is a good thing. Oftentimes we get so used to being in our comfort zone, we don't want to go out of it because it's threatening. But that's where the good stuff can often happen. Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember what the question was.
Well, without wanting to prolong the question was, how do you get boys to go and get a checkup? But so if it's not talking to them or forcing them, if it's not the ads aren't, you know, having some effect but not really, what is it? Is it role modeling? Because there's sometimes, and this is my view, this is my opinion, I don't know what yours is, but sometimes the negative role models are also just as bad. As much as I love Gary Ablett, it was hard to see him dislocate his shoulder, get strapped up, injected, and pushed back out, because that's the mentality that we do to men. You can't measure mental health, but you can see a physical pain. That's all right. Suck it up, princess. Harden up. Eat some concrete. Get out there and keep playing, because it's a grand final and that's the way it goes. Is it role modeling? Is it men saying, I went out, I got my prostate checked, or I had my skin cancer, my skin checked for cancer? What's the answer, Rick? Because if it's not the ads, how are we going to get these men to do it?
Yeah. Look. I think certainly, the modelling is good, and I know for our kids, Sue had breast cancer back in 2017, and I think that really hit them, because before then, I think they probably thought we were both pretty sort of infallible. You know, we just sort of we work really hard and go out and do what we had to do, and then I think for them it was a real kind of sort of moment for them, a real sort of epiphany that, hey, these people who are our parents, they're actually human. I think that was, and to see their mother, who's always been the doctor sweeping around the hospital, seeing patients, doing things for them, to see the role completely reversed, to see her in a bed as a patient, it was absolutely, it was a powerful, transformative sort of experience. So, yeah, look, I think modelling is so important, and you know, I'm the first to put my hand up and say, there's lots of things I've done as a parent that I'm not proud of, but I guess we just keep trying to get through, and just hope that our kids admire us enough to say, well, if they're doing it, there must be something in it. So I think that's important. But look, the whole sort of macho stuff, you know, I look after a few ex-elite sportsmen, and they just pay an enormous price with their bodies for the sake of the team. You know, if you see a lot of ex-AFL football, they can barely walk upstairs. You know, their knees are so shot from 2 or 3 cortisone injections every round, so I'm not sure about that. And you know, the people say, oh, he's courageous, he puts his head over the ball, but I think we're only starting to come to understand this
Yes.
this post-concussion syndrome.
Correct, yeah.
That really important movie with what's his name, Will Smith. He plays the neurosurgeon looking after all the footballers in America, and I think that's it's the model that we really need to look for. Oh, look how brave he is! He backs into the pack and gets a ruptured kidney or something. But good on him. He gets it. That he did that for the team. Well, I just reckon that's dumb because you need your kidney your whole life. So there's all that sort of stuff, and I think that sort of branches into that sort of weird toxic masculinity thing, which we can talk about later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Rhoda, for coming on, and
thanks for having me.
I think that's an important message that we can, talk to our families about it.
Yeah.
And then also have role models, I think, within the family, but also having role models outside of the family who, sometimes your parents are a bit annoying,
Yeah.
and they keep
Even my mother
asking you if you're okay. But having some people, whether they're in the football club or in the gym or in wherever they are, that they might be able to side up beside some of the younger guys and and chat too. So thanks very much, Rhoda, for coming on and chatting to Dr. Ric.
Yeah, good to meet you, Rhoda.
Yeah,
all the best. Keep talking.
Catch you later.
Good on you.
All right, well, Ric, now you mentioned there that the gap between 16 and 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Now I'm almost 50, and my family continually say, "Now, Cole, you need to go see Ric. You need to go get a blood test. You have high cholesterol. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah." I fit into that range. So, but I was thinking, is there sort of specific things that you might say for someone in their 20s or someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? Is there sort of specific things that we should be thinking about? I mean, obviously there's a big push with bowel cancer from 50, and I was even hearing today they're thinking maybe they should bring it back to 45, for the bowel cancer test.
Yeah. Look, I think when we have a patient in front of us, you think, well, it's not just them. You're seeing that they're the result of generations before. So taking a family history is really important. As I said before, I've got a really strong family history of prostate cancer. My father's got it. His uncle got it. I've had 2 uncles pass away with it. So, for me, it was only a matter of, it feels like it's probably only a matter of when and not if. So, being aware of what's in your family is important. And that's hard when you're 18. I mean, you really don't care too much about what's going on. You're in a very eccentric sort of world. But, knowing your family history is important. If there's 3 or 4 people in the family who've had heart disease at a young age, before the age of 60 or something, or, cancers, etc. That's really important because, your DNA is like your shadow. You can never outrun it. So, I guess we like to stratify people's risk. The average 18-year-old running around, if there's not much going on in their family history, and and they don't smoke, etc., then it's probably not a lot that we need to do for them. Probably, things like, risky behaviours, binge drinking, drugs, unprotected intercourse, that sort of stuff is probably what we're looking at in that age group. So I think knowing the family history is really important. But probably by the time, maybe in the mid-20s, it'd be worthwhile, knowing what your cholesterol is and all the sorts of, the BMI and habits, smoking, alcohol, all that sort of thing comes into it there. But, as you move into the 40s, I mean, that's when stuff can start to happen. And if you've sort of not known anything about it for all those sort of years, it's always worthwhile sort of getting a bit of a snapshot of what's going on there. So, our routine sort of physical would obviously involve all the measurements of blood pressure and pulse, and having a look for any spots, any suspicious skin things, and then running a battery of blood tests for your bone marrow function, kidney, liver, cholesterol, sugar, all that sort of sort of routine stuff to be done. But yeah, I think knowing the family history is a really important thing to that'll sort of guide what you do and what you look out for.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
I mean, I don't know how you do it. Like, I was just telling Cole before you came on today that we had a situation tonight that sounds really dumb. My dog attacked a bird and we took it down to the vet, and my daughter was pretty upset. I was pretty upset. I'm thinking I said to the vet, I couldn't be a vet. And I was thinking about you tonight. I couldn't be a doctor. How you build a rapport with, there'd be very many rewards, like what you talked about with your wife. She's seen the births of so many children, but with her role and with your role, there would be times when life just stops. How do you cope with that? How do you get to a point where, like, what do you tell yourself, and how do you separate yourself from it?
Yeah. Look, I think that's a lifelong sort of job, really, trying to sort of compartmentalize it. I was just talking to Sue the other day, and she said that a wise doctor once told her, you can tell if a patient's depressed if you feel depressed after they've left the room. And that's the challenge of trying to stop transference, trying to take all that stuff on board. And you know what? Unfortunately, psychiatrists are overrepresented amongst those who drink too much, take illicit drugs, or even take their own lives. So, they're in a daily battle to stop the stuff coming across from the patient and sort of infecting is the wrong word, but certainly the transference is a major thing. So, no, look, it's something that I battle with every day. General practice there's a lot of mental health involved in general practice now, because I think unfortunately the mental health sector has been quite under-resourced for decades, really, and it's taken a worldwide pandemic to make people realise that the resources are very they're inadequate for the load. But
is that where the guitar playing comes from? Is that where you talked about before that I can enter a world and it can be hours? Do you get to a point where you can forget what happened today or this week by picking up a guitar and playing something? Is that what happens?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think this year has really told me that this is something that's great, and that it's almost healing. Like, I wasn't always into the blues. Like when I first started playing, we used to just get Cold Chisel records and learn all the songs and play them. And I love Cold Chisel. I love Ian Moss to this day. He's perhaps my favourite guitar player. He's a beautiful singer and he does everything. But a lot of Cold Chisel's music is kind of, if you go back in Ian Moss's career, he was a blues guitarist. He loved blues. He loved Led Zeppelin. They started out as a Led Zeppelin cover band. And for me, the blues, if you listen to it, it's a music, obviously from African Americans. It's a music of struggle, and people say, "Oh, it's so depressing," but they sung about their troubles, and that's how they sort of got rid of them. And oftentimes, blues music can start out as a struggle and end up in some sort of redemption. And I don't think it's any surprise to me that I find blues music is like a healing sort of ointment. I think B.B. King talked about it as being a healing balm, that if you've got a hurting world, and pain and suffering is a human experience. Doesn't matter. I think Albert King said, it doesn't matter. Jew, Chinaman, Indian, Mexican, white, black, whatever. Everyone will experience that terrible feeling, and this is a kind of a way to sort of deal with it and to work it out. So it's a huge part of what I am. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
And what about particularly like in this year? It's been just a massive year of challenges and just like things that have really hit us for six, really. And I mean, you're part owner in the clinic, and you've had so many challenges business wise as well, I guess.
Yeah. Look, I've got to say, I feel like I've had 30 years to get ready for this. in my mind. And what's really impressed me so much is that not one person at the clinic has taken a backward step. Not one person has said, "Oh, I'm worried for my own personal safety. I can't do this." None of our receptionists signed up to be a frontline worker in a pandemic. None of them did. But have they all turned up? Absolutely. I am beyond proud of each and every one of them for what they've brought. They've just said, "I'm here to help. I'm here to be a part of the solution." And that'll be one of my lasting memories of this year. That it's been tough, but you know what? The real fibre of people who turn up and say, "Yep, I'm here to help. I'm here to look after our patients. I'm here to look after each other." Well, our girls they're just awesome. They're fantastic. Wearing the mask thing, it was tricky. They're on the phone all day. Like if I'm in my office and doing telehealth, I have my mask over my head or on my neck or whatever, but they're behind it all day, talking into the headset and putting up with, they are not the most comfortable thing to wear all day. But the girls have done it, and they've done it really well. So, it's been a challenging year, but I'm really proud of them. I think they've really done well, and as a team, we've really all worked so well together, and I just think it's been a cometh the hour, cometh the team, and I'm really so proud of what they've done, and it's been great, and to find ourselves where we are today, 13 days in a row of no new cases. It's been a heck of a hard job, but we're there, and I'm so happy with how we've done as a country and how we've done as a state. Sure, the quarantine thing was a disaster. There's no doubt about that. But just look where we are now, and you're open again, Cole, and it's fantastic. And I guess I'm just filled with my overwhelming emotion from this year is gratitude for the people that I'm lucky enough to work with and to have in my life. Gratitude for the health of my family and my parents, and gratitude that I've got music to just feed that inner soul or whatever. So it's been a tough year, but a great year.
Yeah, no, that's great words. And I've got a bit of a personal question, like not personal about me, but personal. In the pit, I have people come in, they might have an injury or they're overweight, and as a PT, we're taught to say, okay, well, you go see your doctor and get them to give you clearance.
Yeah.
Like, what do you as a doctor, when someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I want to start weight training," what do you actually talk to them about? Is it blood pressure? Is it, not pushing it too hard? Is it joint health? Is it,
absolutely. I mean, I think probably, the number one thing is, Cole, I don't want them to die in your gym. It's awkward. You don't know whether to stop the workout or just say, "I'll deal with that afterwards." Or no. But I don't want them to cark in your gym. So I want to make sure their blood pressure's not through the roof. Yeah. I want to make sure that they can walk around the block without getting too short of breath or any pain in the chest or that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I guess, again, you stratify it. If they're 18 to 20-year-old or something, it's unlikely anything's going to come a cropper. But if they're, they're 55 and they say, "You know what, I've really done a lot of exercise in my life and I want to start doing it," well, we need to be thinking about how to do it safely. And so I would probably do baseline stuff, obviously, all their sort of biometric stuff, but also, checking their cholesterol, doing the ECG, making sure that, they've not got, any signs of strain on the heart, on the left side of the heart especially. Yeah. And they're not going to come a cropper. And also just talk about just manageable, realistic goals. Don't go and try and powerlift 120 kegs straight away. Yeah. Because soft tissues, when you're 50, they take ages to heal. You tear a calf, forget about it. You're gone for 2 months. You know, it just takes time. And so, yeah, just thinking preventatively. And but yeah, look, the joint health. I mean, certainly low impact exercise, especially for men. I mean, women do need to have some impact exercise just to maintain their bone mass after menopause. But certainly low impact stuff is going to look after cartilage, because once cartilage is damaged, it never comes back.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff about stem cell injection and all that, but it's largely experimental. So you got to look after what you got, but strengthening the muscles around the joints looks after the joints big time. So many knee injuries can be, I think a significant number of them are preventable by just making sure that your quads, hamstrings, glutes, all that sort of stuff are in good nick, so they can play, they can take some of the strain off the joints. So yeah, just thinking preventatively, making sure that they're not going to, pop a head gasket when things, because I heard things get pretty intense in there in the pit.
Well, I like what you said there, because I'm a big advocate for building muscle to protect your joints.
Absolutely. Yep.
If you jump up and down, you don't want the joints taking the impact. You want the muscles taking the impact.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing that I'm about. So for you to confirm that is sort of, I think, a great thing. And that's, we don't get to, we scale everything. I've got everyone from a 16-year-old to a 78-year-old in the pit. So, it's got to be scaled according to people's abilities and, backgrounds and what they've done and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like correct lifting, believe it or not, is such an important thing, isn't it? I've often said, I'll show patients a picture of the paralumbar muscles and say, look at them. Okay, they're not bad. Look at a quadricep muscle. Look at a hamstring. Look at a glute. That's a muscle. Why don't you use them to lift instead of your paraspinals and the spinal cord just sitting in there saying, please be careful with me. So you're working the paraspinals, working the core muscles to, they can do some amazing work. Don't put it all on that L5S1 disc, because it's going to pop. So just do it smarter. Don't do it harder. Do it smarter.
Yeah.
So that's good.
100%. Well, we're getting close to time, but I want to. Do you remember Reuben?
I do remember Reuben. Yes.
He's just said you're the only man to wear a necktie around your head and still look cool.
Mate, Reuben, you should have gone to Specsavers. That's all I can say. But no, look, you're a good man, Reuben. I hope you're still involved in music or something sort of forward-facing, because you certainly are. You've got that thing.
Yep.
You've got that that sort of X factor, I think. Yeah. So I hope is he still doing something?
Yeah. I'm not sure. He's still carpet laying, and he used to be in the Wise Guys and the comedy group and all that sort of thing. So,
absolutely.
Yes. No, but he's thought he'd just comment on how you look with a necktie. So
yeah. No, look, the only time I ever wear a tie now is either to funeral or when I go to court. And unfortunately, sometimes the two are connected. But no. But look, I'm not a super huge fan of the necktie, I have to say.
Oh no, it's good. Well, Rafi, I think we're almost up for time.
Oh, come on, let's go another hour. We can do another hour.
One. You could, because people don't. I guess other things that people may not realise about you is that you're a co-host on a podcast, which a video show, a vlog, whatever you want to call it. It's a YouTube live interaction, and it's called In the Blues. And there's 154,000 subscribers. I don't even know how many that is. That's just insane.
Yeah. Look, it's that is amazing, and we do this podcast. Well, just in ISO, we've been doing this podcast sort of most weekends, and we time it for often for Saturday night in the Northern Hemisphere, Saturday night in the United States, Canada, and in parts of Europe, and
which is roughly Sunday afternoon here. Or
that's right, yeah. And it was weird when we went to daylight saving. You added it on an hour, and sort of did my head in. But that's been amazing. Just a international community of guitar nerds, and it's just made us, I think we all want to feel like we belong. I think, and ISO has I think just magnified, compounded that feeling so much more. And so it's just Shane and I playing our guitars and just talking crap about all sorts of stuff. But it's amazing the number of people who chime in and say, thank you for helping me get through ISO. It's great just to see you two just sitting there talking about things that that mean a lot to them, and it's amazing that the YouTube guitar community is just awesome. And as I was telling you the other day, 2 years ago we were flown to Germany by a great German guitar company called Warwick Farmers, and they put us up in a beautiful hotel, and all we had to do was play guitars, make videos for YouTube, talk to other YouTubers from all over the world, and it was just amazing. So I think that feeling of community is so important, and just people feeling like they belong. And I'm sure that in a world where you have sort of virtual friends or people that you know of more on Facebook than if you bump into them in the street, but just being able to support each other through has been one of my special memories of this year. It's great. So I feel very fortunate to be part of that community as well.
Very good. Now we like to end on a question that we ask everyone. What's one piece of advice that you can give us as men to help men who are listening become a better version of themselves? It can be anything. Yeah.
Look, I appreciated actually getting the heads up on that question, and I thought about it. And look, I think the best thing that you can do is to be authentic, be yourself. You mentioned before, Cole, about when I play guitar, my head just looks so wrong. It's awful. I
didn't say wrong.
No, well, it is. It's nasty. And if anyone wants to go to YouTube and just put in Dr. Ric or In the Blues, you'll see things you can't unsee. But it's either that's what he looks like when he's on the toilet. I get that quite a lot. Or that's what he looks like during intimacy. I get that too. But you know what? That's me, and I'm having that experience right at that moment. And so I just can't just be cruel and do this. I'm doing whatever I'm doing because that's what I'm feeling at the moment. And I think to be real, to be authentic, just not be afraid to be vulnerable or fallible. None of us knows everything. We know people who think they do, but none of us knows everything. And I think a lot of what we've seen in the American election is part of it's a study of personalities and what can you sort of project, and then it becomes a truism because people repeat all that sort of stuff. Just be yourself, be authentic, I'm too old now to put on a persona to try and impress people. This is me, and it's taken 55 years, but I'm more or less happy with who that is. Now, I often think that life is a journey into finding out who you are, and I think when you do find out, that's when you're good and you can be at peace, and then you can't. So it's a life's journey, and if you can show some kindness and empathy along the way, then everybody wins. So I think be as authentic, be the real deal, warts and all. Yeah. People will like you or not, but it's just it's who you are.
Yeah. That's great advice.
I reckon that's an awesome way to bookend it, because you spoke about when you were at school and you got bullied.
Yeah.
For being Asian, and then
you've
come right through to understanding who you are and being authentic with yourself. So
So I think that's a work in progress. So just happy to I just think it's a privilege that the journey takes you and the people you meet. So I'm really happy to be here and to be to sharing my experiences with you guys. And I think what you're doing is fantastic too. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Well, I think we're about to call it.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. Thanks heaps for joining us, Rick, and we'll I mean, there's not as many as tuned in as yours, that's for sure. But we'll put the link to your video into these show notes for people to jump on board, be part of it, and
yeah, be great.
Being part of this tonight and being so brutally honest as well. It's refreshing.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good.
And I'll come for my prostate checkup soon.
You know what? I reckon go see one of the little Chinese girl doctors here. They've got a very dainty finger. No, I don't want you. Yeah.
I don't want you losing your finger.
No, that's true. Yeah, but we've got a wheelchair. We'll take you back out to the car. You'll be fine.
Very
all right. Thanks heaps.
Okay.